What's up, folks? Derek and Chris with Gatekeeper Media, and we are back at it for day 8 of the 12 days of Gatekeeper Media Christmas. All right, yeah, well, 2/3 of the way through, Chris, and we are at the AMA day.
Yeah, we've actually never done an AMA. I mean, we've done like interviews and things like that, but we've never actually put out the question to the people and compiled their questions and sat in front of a
No,
camera and told
yeah,
our stories.
I think maybe we've done one or two as we were driving on like Instagram, something like
Mhm.
that, but nothing too serious. So we reached out to Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Reddit, LinkedIn, a couple Facebook
Patreon,
groups, Patreon.
Discord.
So we kind of went through the entire cycle of where we are connected because we wanted to get a wide variety of who our audience was. So I think the questions are pretty well represented across the board.
Yeah, there might be one or two funny ones in here too. We'll see. So we were just copy and pasting them in there. So it's so you don't want to look at them before you go in. You just kind of put them in a random order and let it ride. So first one that we have is favorite round you've ever filmed. That one is tough because we filmed some pretty crazy rounds. If I were going off that, I would probably say 2019 Delaware Disc Golf Challenge when we got our first chase card win. For some reason, that one just still hits so much different. That was like such a crazy experience to actually finally have that happen, and pretty early on in our disc golf media career, I would say, and then didn't have it for almost 4 years after that. So
Yeah, so I was probably going to say the same thing. However, if I'm not allowed to say the same thing, then I'd say the first time that we got Simon winning from Chase Card at Maple Hill. So that was a great way to end our season last year. And then it just rolled right over into having 4 more this year.
yeah, another
Simon
one
being
at
another one.
MVP.
Yeah. So, MVP, we've said it a million times, but that place is so special to us. So that's literally like the course that keeps on giving. So I would say, uh, yeah,
Yeah, I feel good with those.
yeah. Next up, we got what happened to Nate Perkins. So, as some of you know, maybe you don't, Nate Perkins and Brian Earhart were our commentators for the Pro Tour a few years back. As far as what happened to them, it just kind of went separate ways, right? Nate and I kind of had creative differences in kind of how we wanted to carry the product and things like that. So everything kind of just went separate. And then he moved on to go with the Pro Tour. Same with Earhart.
Yeah, and Brian's doing a lot for the Disc Golf Pro Tour now, so it's cool to see him able to excel and hone in his kind of personality when it comes into.
Well, I would say the joke that we have a lot is that Gatekeeper Media is the farm team for a lot of this kind of stuff. So, we've had camera people that have worked on their stuff. We've had commentators and things like that. So, I think we should wear that with a badge of honor. We're good trainers, I guess.
Yeah, I like that. Next one we have here. How do you make your thumbnails? So this one is usually me making them. If you're talking about Disc Golf Pro Tour stuff and majority of the stuff you see, it's usually me making them last minute. I hate to say that, but it's usually when I'm uploading the videos the morning of, they're usually made right then and there because it takes a little bit of time, 30 minutes to upload or something like that. We honed in on a really good template this year, so it made it very easy to make those. So all the ones you saw this year, where there's two uh, players on each side, and then kind of the tournament logo in the middle. I think that was a really good template to run out with the season. And with Photoshop getting easier and easier, really easy to cut people out of the background, being a tour partner with the Pro Tour and having those high quality photos. Shout out to Kevin Hoover for really being the best photographer in the industry. And yeah, it's just great to see that we actually found a good template because to be honest, I didn't like our thumbnails over the years. They always were an afterthought when I think they should be more of a forethought, because that's what people see out there on
Mhm.
YouTube. So
Yeah, when I make thumbnails, I actually just use Canva templates and edit them to fit what our needs are. And that's more of like the real grab and go thing because I just do that all on my phone. But if you search, they have a lot of free options and things like that. So you could just search like thumbnail or, a keyword, specifically what type of thumbnail, change the colors. You can include like your logo, colorway, and things like that. So, um, kind of a super run and gun, easy way to do it um, if you're in a pinch.
for sure.
Let's see. The pro player that oh no, I missed one. Favorite road meal to make and favorite restaurant to eat at on the road. So as far as restaurants go, I think that one that we find ourselves going to a lot would be like Applebee's or Texas Roadhouse or something like that, where we
E-dubs.
we don't, yeah, yeah. Buffalo Wild Wings was definitely a staple for quite a while, especially that late night happy hour deal where you get the chicken fingers and all that. So those are kind of the three. More when we are tired of eating like fast food or anything like that. Plus, they're open pretty late and are affordable for the most part
Yeah, I
as
was gonna
well.
mention that is a lot of those come on travel days. Like we always have like a meal at travel days, and sometimes places close at 8 p.m. in the Midwest. So, and if you
Hmm.
have a Wild Wings or an Applebee's open till 10, and we're not rolling in till 8:45, just it's reliable. Some of
Hmm.
those chains are very reliable. When it comes to fast food, we probably stick to like Taco Bell. I would say is probably the primary one. They don't really ever do us dirty out there.
No,
It's
and you
usually
can
pretty
get like
consistent.
meatless or dairy free options if you're trying to kind of like, mix it up and not just have some bullshit food in
Yeah,
you
I've
all the
actually
time.
I've gone veggie at Taco Bell for about a year and a half now, so and I
It's
mean, I eat
good.
there a lot.
It's
Yeah,
good.
I eat there a lot, so
Yeah.
all right, next one we got is pro player that is most friendly. I mean, they're kinda all friendly. The disc golf community is friendly for the most part.
But the
Um,
most friendly, um, Rick's pretty damn friendly, I'm not gonna lie. I'd say that
yeah,
kinda shows just in terms of, like, how he presents himself to the fans even if he doesn't play well. He's always smiles, always there for photos and signatures and things like that, and I'd say that that equates to us as well. He's always greeting us with a smile, "How you doing? Good to see you," that kinda thing, so, I'd say that.
funny I would agree, yeah, funny story about Rick actually is one time our van was going in the shop, and he actually was going out for a practice round, and he gave us his keys to his van. He was like, "Hey, if you need to go anywhere, if you need, like, a stationary spot, like, you have my van." And that was a big day. That was really nice to see. Felt
Yeah,
good.
it was,
Um,
in the Texas swing last year, I believe.
yeah,
Right about the midst when we got, stuck in, like, a hailstorm the day prior.
yeah,
Um, more on that in a different video. I think you'll probably wanna hear that one,
yeah.
folks. Number 6, what does Flippy even mean? Um, I don't know, and at this point, I'm too afraid to ask.
It's funny,
No, just kidding. Just understable, flippy, something that as a right hand backhand, it'll just turn right over for you. That seems like a joke question, but maybe it
hey,
isn't. I don't know.
we have new people out there that are still learning, so. All right, next one. You seem to have cultivated a more intellectual route than other broadcasts. Fish is a perfect fit for this, but even when a fish isn't there, it's still got that feeling. Is this intentional? Is it a reflection of your own characters in disc golf, out of disc golf? I thought this was a great question, because it definitely is intentional. We really focus on education within our brand, I would say, especially with our coverage, doing things like form checks and just all of those little bells and whistles over the years have always had some type of something to it that made it worthwhile for the viewer, and usually in an intellectual way. Um, So, do you have any more on that? Because I would definitely say that it's part of what
It's
we strive
oh,
for.
oh yeah, 100% intentional. I would say, like, I would consider myself and Chris to be relatively intelligent individuals. And so something that I learned in college was, the cardinal rule of being a creator and, a maker is to not assume that your audience, is stupid. So not spoon feeding things to people, making people have to put the dots together. I think that makes for a more entertaining product. So I try to adhere to that as much as I possibly can. Um, Now, and obviously, like, one example perfectly is with commentary, right? You don't necessarily need to be shouting out play by play exactly what's happening on screen because the viewer's watching it. So you need to add a little bit more insight that's going to elevate what they're watching because the audience is seeing it. They don't need it verbatim, right?
Yeah, I would. Well said.
All right. What is your favorite Philly hardcore band and favorite show memories? So I'd say like the classics would be like Jesus Peace, Soul Glow, uh, Code Orange. And then if you're shying a little further away from like traditional hardcore music, you'd be like looking at like the Menzingers, who are more of like traditional punk here in Philadelphia. Great band, super fun to go watch. As well as like maybe Circus Survive. They're more on like the alternative side of things, but I would classify them as being from Philadelphia as well. And I have a hot take uh, that some people might come after me for, but the Wonder Years are apparently a Philadelphia staple, and I do not like them. I've seen them live a few times. I've tried just about all of their albums, and there's just something about their music I cannot connect with. So there's no hate. It's just, it is what it is, folks. I don't think
Not for
that they're
you.
that good. I don't think they're that good.
I uh I actually live in between Philadelphia and Baltimore, like exactly in between. It's the
Good
same to get
spot.
to Philly and Baltimore. So I could claim Baltimore a little bit, I would say. And I would say Turnstile is probably one of the greater hardcore bands that come out of this like general kind of tri-state area or this greater
They're
Philly DC
they're
area.
radio famous now.
Yeah, they're big, so
Yeah.
cop
As
out.
far as favorite show memory, growing up in the greater Pennsylvania, greater Philadelphia area, CKY was kind of a fixture of my growing up, that angsty early teenage years. And so when I finally got to go see them, well, I saw them maybe for the second or third time at this point, catching the pick from Chad Ginsburg, where I knew that I had it immediately right in my hand, and watching the person next to me think they had it too, and they open up their hand to see nothing in there. When
Yeah,
I, in fact, knew that I had it, I felt the point of the pick digging into my palm, and that gave me quite a lot of joy. I mean, I I became victorious in that fight for that pick. So
I mean, I would me and Derek, that was one of the things that kind of built our friendship is our same taste in music, and we went to a lot of shows together, and I gotta say, he catches everything out there, or like he's like right there at the right time to kind of get those sort of things. Like I think he's gotten a drumstick before, like a shirt. Like there's just
from Under Oath, yeah.
yeah. Oh my gosh. But yeah, I would say any of our early shows, living in the city and going to college there, and just having a good time and going in the pit when we were still young and able to do it was. I mean, those are all great memories. So
Yeah, I
love
mean,
Point One.
let's see, it was probably like my 23rd birthday, 22nd birthday maybe, when we were going to a Sum 41 show that was like on my birthday, and I think it was me, you, and then a couple of my friends from back home. I remember being winded and having to like sit on the couch because it was like, I could remember being a teenager going to shows and I was in the pit but from start to finish. And I was lucky to get through even just like a song at that point. And then now if I try, it's even less than that. I really have to pick my battles. Like I went to go see the Used just over the summer at one of the at the Man Center here, um, and I had to run into the pit for the last song, and I still only made it through like maybe half of it. But yeah, I think that that's definitely something that I've always been super fond of is like being in the pit and things like that. So like any show that had like a really good pit where everyone was very respectful to one another, those are always the good ones where it's like somebody falls down, the group picks them back up, and everybody keeps moving. I think that's how everybody should be.
Yeah. Next one, we can talk about that all day.
Yeah.
Next one, how's it feel to be the primary coverage team for Matty O's first big win? Was that a fun round to document? Oh my goodness. I mean, Matty O has been calling us his lucky charm for a couple of years now.
Quite
We
a
filmed
while.
him.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've filmed him in the past winning. And I'm just so grateful that it happened at MVP again. So I mean,
Hmm.
it felt like it was going to happen because he almost won at Worlds like a week before. We were so close on all these other chase card wins, and you just saw it in his eyes that final day that it was that we were witnessing something great. And yeah, loved it.
Agreed. Everything. Let's see. How many days in a row do you think you could eat hot dogs before giving in and eating human flesh? Assuming the hot dogs weren't made from people, of course. Uh, a year.
I don't really like hot dogs.
So,
So,
so you're gonna resort to human flesh early, is what you're saying.
yeah, we
Listen,
had a I'll say we had a college roommate back in the day, and I will never forget uh, when he boiled the hot dogs, and they weren't even beef hot dogs, and that put the worst taste in my mouth. So
the
hot dogs
smell,
usually,
the smell in that house was super nasty. But I would also say that that same roommate boiled socks in that same uh, pot.
yeah. I will
So,
eat a hot dog at a Phillies game, or if it's from Wawa. But so if they're Wawa or at the Phillies game, then yeah, we can rock on for a while.
all right. So it's going to be at least, it could be a year for me. Well, here's the thing is like, even though I could eat hot dogs for a year straight because I enjoy them, I don't think that my blood pressure would appreciate that at all. So I might have to eat human flesh just for heart health. All right.
Uh,
This is where it's starting to turn dark here, folks. So
yeah, let's turn it right back around. My cat's running around, by the way, too, folks. I hope you don't mind that. But she wanted
I
to be
can't
in.
hear. Crazy oranges being crazy.
Yeah, that's a fun little fact. Both Derek and I have orange cats. Primary coverage, then easiest course to film, hardest course to film. Uh, hmm. I would say it's hard to like pinpoint right on it, but I can tell you the types of courses that are hard to film.
I think the
There's
easiest course for me is LVC. The courses at LVC. I would say that overall, just angles and positioning, pretty easy.
See, I was actually going to say a course like LVC is actually a little more difficult because you're out in the open, so it's harder to track the disc on specific days depending on the sky. So that's the one thing about open courses. It's very dependent on the actual light outside, and there's times where if you're T cam, you're you're beat. Like you're looking right up into the sky and you're losing the disc, and hopefully you're getting the landing. Um, so I would say that's probably the hardest for T cam. Still overall pretty easy. And then on catch cam, it's not really hard unless it's a blind shot or very tight greens. So like Maple Hill is very, very challenging for catch cam because there's a lot of blind shots and tight greens. Whereas T cam, it's all there and you have the fairway set, but there's even holes there where they're throwing out in the open. So I
Yeah,
think
I would say I'm saying that the TCAM at LVC is on the easier side because if you're good at predicting flight, you can kind of just like point it in the direction and the camera is still getting it because you don't have anything to kind of cut the angle off as much. Um, so I think there's just kind of multiple ways to skin a cat there.
Yeah, OTB is another one that's kinda, like, open and could pose difficult, but I don't know, we learned in the woods, so it just seemed like, all the wood stuff just seems so natural and so easy, like,
Yeah, like
Picker or
Stafford Woods is like very easy to film, I think, overall. Um, GMC, the courses at GMC are pretty favorable as well.
Mhm.
Um, Clash of the Canyons was a pretty good course to film.
Yeah, that was fun.
Um, Cedar, where Music City Open used to be, was not too shabby to film.
Mhm. Yeah,
Um,
any of those wooded
hardest
courses.
hardest I would say is Toboggan, just by the sheer like intensity of moving around there.
Yeah.
Um, I would also say De La is probably one of the hardest courses to film as well,
Mhm.
because those have tight greens, cliffs you could fall off of, exposed roots, uneven
Every shot's blind.
or uneven ground, sand so that it gives out under you while you're moving. It's that one that might be one of the hardest to film,
Yeah, I would agree with that.
but excellent course. Like that's one of the ones that's so hard to film, but you don't care. And then
Mhm.
the weather is always beautiful there. The area is amazing. So like, it's like, I guess it could be worse. Let's see. What was our favorite thing about Australia? I have a lot of things that I really love about Australia. I would say that the people and the culture, um, the Aussies are a crazy bunch of folk, and I love it. I fit in really well with those that whole crew there. I would say another thing that I really liked is like your traditional like Aussie pub experience.
Oh, yeah.
Where you got Keno on the walls, you got the slot machine room, you got the indoor area, the outdoor area. You go put your food in up at the window, and they give you the buzzer, and you go and pick up a big tray of food, and you got your all these different beers on tap because it's a big beer culture. So I would say just the vibe, you're sitting there at the bar and you see all the people with their high vis work attire come in after work. And I just think that that's something really cool to be a part of. It's like similar to an English pub, but like way different at the same time.
Yeah. It's very interesting. We loved it. There was one pub we loved so much we went back because it was
I'd
so good
I'd have
in there.
eaten there every day if we could have.
Yeah, it kinda sucks we found it so late in the trip. I would agree with all that. I would also say, I'm really into birding and stuff like that, so the birds out there are insane. Everything from the kookaburras to the ones that you have to if you're riding a bike, you have to have, like, things off your head because if not, they'll literally come down and attack your head. So,
Magpies is what they're called.
magpies. Yeah, like, signs out there that literally say, like, "Watch out for swooping birds."
hmm
Uh, yeah, it is, the animals out there are crazy. It's
There's
pretty cool.
like there's birds in the city. They call them bin chickens, and they're like they will mess you up for some food.
Yeah. I don't really have anything bad to say about Australia. That was truly one of the best trips we've ever been on.
No, and it's funny because like everybody says like, "Oh, everything in Australia is so dangerous." I've been there twice now for extended periods of time and have never experienced anything that I was like I didn't see a spider the whole time. I did see evidence of a snake, but it really wasn't that big of a deal. Like it was, you just kind of, I've swam in the ocean multiple times and didn't get stung by a jellyfish and didn't get eaten by a shark. So it's like there's a lot of these misconceptions where, Luke Bain, who's the highest rated player in Australia, if you look back at the video I shot with him at Worlds this year, he said that America is what's filled with like the dangerous stuff because we have like grizzly bears and like mountain lions and things like that. So like I would say we might be more just as dangerous, if not more, in compared to comparing the wildlife.
Wild. To go off of that, this is a good question for the next one.
Mm.
What's the biggest animal you think you could kill with your bare hands? For like survival reasons. It's funny you bring that up because Derek and I have been looking a lot into just like survival and bushcrafting and stuff like that. So I do think about this, and
You know what? Wait a minute. Before you say that, if you're watching right now, head over to Build and Craft Outdoors. It's a new channel that we're starting. There's not a ton of content on it, but we're really looking forward to putting more stuff on there. It's not disc golf related, so it's a little refreshing project that we have working on the side. So Build and Craft Outdoors.
yeah, we'll put the link in the description. Um, but yeah, so what's the biggest animal you think you can kill with your bare hands? I would say probably like a fox or a coyote or a wolf or something like that, but only one. And they obviously travel in packs, so I'm a goner, but I think I would kill one in the process. Like I truly think, but I'd be eaten alive 5 minutes later.
Yeah, maybe a bobcat
You want to take
or
out a
something.
bobcat? You want to pounce on him?
They're not that big. Like I'm thinking like bobcats are only like, they're not, it's not like a fucking panther, like I'm not, but the thing is like, so I don't think that it would necessarily come to that because if it was a big cat situation, I feel confident in being able to befriend the cat. So I don't have to kill it. We just become friends.
Yeah.
Look, oh wait, look.
You have a cat too?
I do.
Oh,
Say
yeah.
hello
We
there, Helene Bean.
we are definitely
He's
cat folk here, Derek and I. Yeah, I would agree. I've always looked at those cool videos of those people that like play with the lions and stuff, and I'm quite jealous, honestly.
uh I don't mess with alligators. I won't do that. They get you in the death spin or death roll or whatever it is. No. All these Florida men on the internet messing with alligators and stuff. Stupid. Bucket list course to film. I would say the Åland Islands. Um, because that place looks spectacular. Maybe one of the courses in Hawaii. I think that looks pretty cool too. So I would uh, really like to do something in Hawaii. So for those, if there's any movers and shakers in Hawaii that are watching this, let us know if you got any opportunities for us to come on over.
I would agree with. I just think the any Nordic country, Sweden, Finland, Norway, any of those courses up there, because we've actually never been to that area. I would check it off as a bucket list. Aalen, Tampere, Nokia, any of those would be amazing. Which, with the big news of Worlds in 2025,
Yeah.
it's pretty neat. But yeah, that's what I would say. What's your favorite non-disc golf pro tour event to cover? Are there any others that you didn't cover in 2023 that you'd like to cover in the future? I'll first and foremost say Clash at the Canyons was probably the best tournament non-disc golf pro tour that we've ever filmed. The hospitality that they had, just the way it was ran, that course down there, Delwood. It's it's true. It was truly an amazing experience. That was one of the funnest weeks I've really ever had on tour, and I think it was 2022 that we filmed it.
Yep. It
So
wasn't though. It was only a B tier last year
yeah,
or in 23. But yeah, that's definitely on my list. I would love to be a part of that event again. They filmed scenes from the Blues Brothers in that area, which is also kind of cool. And
we
it's
stayed at the
not,
house.
yeah. Well, it wasn't the house. I think it was
No,
just like full of memorabilia and stuff. But
yeah,
the prison scene is located there. And it's not too far from Chicago, which is one of my favorite cities, that we get through. And luckily, we get to go through Chicago like quite a bit when you're like on the road because there's a pretty, maybe not this year coming up because there's less back and forth like there was, but there was a time where we were getting Chicago deep dish pizza at least 2 to 3 times a year.
Oh yeah,
Like
I can
authentic
definitely.
Lou Malnati's
Yeah,
is the one to go.
for sure.
What was that?
Yeah,
Pequods? Fuck that place.
yeah,
That sponge having crust place. No, I
yeah.
don't.
At least Giordano's is like edible. but,
Yeah, but
but
Lou
other than that,
Malnati's would be the chain that if you're new to Chicago, that's the best representation that we've seen, being outsiders. I'm losing track of where we are here. Was there a moment where everything clicked for you and you were able to apply what you had learned? Or was it just randomly one day you noticed that you vastly improved? I'd say it wasn't like one day we just realized, oh, hey, we got better at this. Like clearly that's something that, we were working on the whole time. So every new addition that we were doing was some like an experiment to see if it would work and things like that. And so like some things we tried didn't work. Like they just didn't work. And you'll notice that they're not part of the workflow anymore. Some were awesome, but the juice wasn't worth the squeeze. So we had to put them on the back burner until maybe some other day, things like that. Um, so I wouldn't say that there was necessarily any one moment where we realized either. I think it was just like a progression of, micro changes over time. Like I don't think from the start, I wouldn't say that there's one thing that we drastically changed from one side to the other, but all a very gradual process.
yeah, I would agree. We watched our first tournament and looking back at that, and then seeing now, just every year we were trying new things to just get better, and I think that is really the key is getting outside of your comfort zone because we could have very easily made things very simple early on and stuck with that. But we always wanted to push the envelope and really raise the bar. Uh, and sometimes those worked and sometimes they didn't. But yeah, I would agree with Derek. It was literally every tournament, just a small, gradual 1% better every time.
Yeah, like a good example of something that we like really went for was like the Lost Valley Open in 2020, I believe,
Hmm.
where we had two cards of coverage and intercut both lead and chase into one production. So each nine was like, pushing an hour long or so.
Hmm.
And that was we learned what worked from that process and what didn't work about that process, and and have kind of altered it. And then we started doing chase card check-ins and things like that. And now it's even to the point where we worked with Jomez to do chase card check-ins for multiple worlds. um,
Yeah, I would say there's been a couple times we've done next day for both MPO and FPO, maybe only like once or twice, but that was also another moment that was really big because I felt good that we had a workflow in place that allowed us to be able to get that much coverage out within 24 hours, and having the
yeah.
team that we had. So that was a really cool moment that I can kind of pinpoint where I was like, man, we're doing good here. This is great stuff. It was like a year or two ago. All right, next one up. Why did the chicken cross the road? To get to the other side, man. Like that's the thing is the chicken needs to get to the other side, so he's going to cross the road. And not to be like cliche or weird here, but like I truly think that's a lot of what Derek and I did in the beginning, and just a little bit of inspiration for people out there is like this was very scary to do. Like we left our jobs to pursue this, and if we didn't take that chance or cross that road, we would not be where we are right now.
Yeah,
But
like to put it into perspective, like Chris and I left jobs where we had like stock options and health insurance and 401ks, right?
yeah,
Like,
one of the best companies in the world that we were at. So it was very scary to do that. So that's why the chicken crossed, and that just kind of for me to just to say to people out there, if you are struggling with anything, just a little bit of inspiration is like, just do it. And it's going to feel uncomfortable and you might fail. Like we've failed so many times, but you just have to be persistent and you have to keep doing it and you have to keep crossing that road and just don't be scared. And that's really it. And I just think a lot of people kind of get afraid to take that chance.
Yeah.
That chicken ain't afraid, even if he gets hit.
I mean, hit chickens could still make fried chicken, right? So like
Hey.
you could still be a winner with chicken dinner. Right. The next one up here would be if you were forced to spend a year living within the confines of a disc golf course to save the human species, which course are you going with? I'd say this is probably the easiest thing I could answer, and it's Maple Hill. 100% Maple Hill.
I would disagree with that one. Um, Only because I think Maple Hill has too many bugs. I'm just thinking about the bug factor, and I just feel like that's going to be an issue. So if we're talking that way, I would probably go to Smugs and GMC because they have solar panels set up, a little more to work with, and I feel like I can hide from the bugs. There probably still a shit ton of bugs, but that's my reason why I didn't pick Maple Hill because Maple Hill was the first thing that came in my head, and I was like, oh, you know what? I like Vermont. I'll just go a little more north
I
and
think
deal with this snow.
I think I picked Maple Hill because we have physically camped there more times than I can count now.
Oh yeah, we love
So like,
camping at Maple Hill.
yeah,
That
the
place is great.
OG spot.
And I
Um,
guess we do have the privilege of just going to Steve's or Karen's or
because
other.
technically that's the property, right? So
Yeah,
that we got ourselves a loophole here, folks. You didn't specify, but yeah, because it said the confines of that course. Just
yeah,
saying, just saying.
I like it. That was a fun question. Are you guys making livable wages, saving for retirement, or scratching by and doing it for the love of the game? It goes a little bit off of what we were saying. Like Derek and I both left very comfortable jobs to do this. So yes, we are making livable wages. Derek and I have been full time for Derek's probably on four close to 5 years now, and I'm not far behind that.
Yeah,
Yeah. So I mean,
5 years. This was my 5th year.
yeah. So yeah, we have been able to have livable wages. We both are
It's not a
lucky.
lot. It's not a
Yeah,
lot.
we're both lucky that we have wives that have good jobs, so healthcare is taken care of in that sense. But yeah, I mean, we could be making a lot more money if I stayed at the job I was at, or if I pursued entrepreneurial, like freelance stuff, probably, or got a job making movies or something like that. Like, there's other industries and routes we could have taken. But this one, I think, was the best one because it's livable wage. Like, I think being able to be my own boss, and I think Derek would agree with this, is way more valuable than money. Just living comfortably right now, being able to be my own boss and wake up when I want and do what I want and pursue what I want, you can't trade that off. And that is single handedly the most important thing.
No, I will say, like, from the retirement end of things, like, no, there's not really much left over for retirement. So, thinking about how to expand and things like that. But, a lot of this is based off of like the generosity of our fans and things. So every like, every view, that means a lot. And then our Patreon subscribers, like they're a big reason why we're able to continue as well. So best tip for living on the road. I got a lot of them. I would say you probably have just as many. I'd say one tip that like really got us by in the beginning was like because of the era of camping in between cities and things like that, where we were living in a tent or at a campsite and all of our meals were being cooked by the fire and things like that. Um, Kind of taking advantage of when you're at a hotel and it has like condiment packets and things like that, where you can get like jelly packs or honey or things like that, so that you can use those to make food for yourself. Like a lot of places would have um,
Like the little
like
peanut butter and jellies and
yeah, peanut butter and
Nutella.
jelly, or like oatmeal cups or packets or things like
Mhm.
that. Just kind of like
Cereal.
stashing those things away every chance you get, so that when you fall on a time where you might not be as comfortable, you at least have something, right? Like, um, I'd say, I don't know. What do you got?
Make sure you have a spare tire in your car. When we first bought our van, there was no spare, and we needed the space because we were trying to fit a lot in there at once. And then actually on our way to Worlds 2020 uh, in Osceola, Iowa, we unfortunately got a flat tire, and that in the end, long story short, it was a great experience. But in that moment, right then and there, not having spare tire and so many people coming by, oh, you should have a spare tire. Like, can't help you here.
Every
Like,
every person that stopped said, "You got a spare?" It's like, "No, I mean, we wouldn't be here if we did." But
yeah. So that one is pretty important, as well as just like maintenance of a car, because a lot of car troubles happen out on the road because you put 40, 50, 60,000 miles on it.
all right, next up.
Only a couple left. All right,
Yeah.
next one up. What are some of your favorite restaurants, foods in different cities on tour, and who has the best cheesesteaks? This, I guess, would be a little more towards like the Illuminati's. So the deep dish in Chicago is next to nothing, truly amazing. I would say there is a taco joint in Portland, Oregon. Can't think of the name of it right now,
Hell,
but
dude.
we literally ate that. There was one year where we had that place, I think 5 or 6 days in a row. We just got tacos for the team every single day.
Yeah.
Really anywhere on the West, you can get some good tacos in California and stuff. But for some reason, that one place in Portland, we go back every year and get those tacos.
I think my favorite spot that we've ever eaten on the road is in Santa Cruz, and it's this tiny Italian
Cool.
restaurant, where I got a calamari steak. Didn't even know what that was, but with a lemon sauce and capers and things like that, and it was so good that we ate there twice in the same week, and I got the
Hmm.
same dish again. That
Yeah.
was me
Actually
coming
ran
right off
into
of
Katrina
having
Allen
COVID.
there.
Oh, yeah, that's right. It was good. It's real good stuff,
Yeah.
folks.
Very good.
Uh, I
I
don't
definitely would
remember
agree.
I don't remember where exactly it was in town, but search you'll know it if you see it, because it's small. There's, like, maybe 2 or 3 tables outside, and then, like,
But it's gonna
less.
have like a 4.7 out of like
Yeah,
4,000 reviews because it's like it's really good.
yeah.
Um,
But,
we
like,
have
I
a
don't
lot of
know,
good food out there. That's something that we
barbecue?
definitely, yeah,
We try
anywhere.
barbecue in a lot of different places. So, like, I would say hands down, my favorite barbecue that we've had is Noble Smoke in Charlotte. Um, that's probably some of the best, like, smoked turkey that you'll ever have, and the
Mhm.
brisket is just amazing. And I'd say the
Yeah,
second best barbecue for me was St. Louis.
I'd agree
Um,
there. That was just a spur of the moment. We were coming back home from the West Side and just stopped there. It was perfect lunch hour, and again, I don't remember the name of the place. I wish I need to start logging these places and checking
mhm,
these places because I know where they are, though. That's the thing. I can just go back in the town, search in the maps, and then, like, know where it is, and then I'm good, so
yeah. Oh, as far as cheesesteaks go, it really just depends on, like, what you're going for. Like, everybody says, like, Pat's and Geno's if you're not from around here, because that's, like, what they know. Well, locals don't traditionally eat there very often. But
mhm,
if I had to pick between the 2, I'd say that, Pat's would be the one to go with, right? Jim's on South before it burnt down was always a classic. That was,
RIP.
um I think they plan on bringing it back, so we don't have to worry about it being gone forever. But that was like a common thing where the TLA, the music venue on South Street, that was a perfect place to go when you were getting out of a show, and you'd
Mhm.
be able to go and get a cheesesteak there. In terms of like probably my favorite to go in general would be a place called Chubby's, which is like not too far from Sedgley. But honestly, like John's Roast Pork has a great cheesesteak. Angelo's Pizza has a great cheesesteak. So there's a lot of really good options, folks.
But the key here is that all these are in Philly. We don't ever eat a cheesesteak outside of Philly or Jersey. I don't know
Yeah,
if that's just us being
you
picky,
can
but I mean, you can tell the difference. So we
you
don't
can
even.
get a decent one in the Lancaster area because that's about as far as like the bread companies will send their rolls.
Yeah,
Because like the big thing is like an Aversa roll, an Amarosa roll,
it's all
or
in the bread.
it
Well, it's
is all
mostly
in.
the bread. It's
It's
like
mostly the bread.
50% bread.
Well, it's just like how New York has their bagels. It's like we have our hoagie rolls, like
Mm.
just kind of the way it is. You have been in the front row for some amazing disc golf shots over the years. What were the top shots you remember filming that at the time you were like, no way? Well, you filmed your own angle of Conrad's only shot or holy shot. Um, where if you look at that clip, you'll see like the group of purple behind the basket. I would say, hands down, that was one of the most electrifying. Like, 10 feet away from the basket, I was like, holy shit, that is going in. And as soon as it hit the bucket and stuck, I felt like my chin hit my shoelaces. Like,
Yeah, there's
it
not many
was
times where I've actually caught myself like knowing that my jaw dropped like to the
And I
floor.
don't and I don't wanna say that as an answer because, like, that theoretically is, like, everyone's answer, but it was that amazing to be a part of, like, the electricity that goes through that place when that shot hit is absolutely unlike anything else that I had ever experienced, and it made such an impact on me that we were going from 303 Open this past year out to California for OTB, I believe, and I'm walking the grounds to revisit the place because Dave had never been there, and so we wanted to see like the tee pad that they made and to commemorate the shot and things like that. I'm walking around the grounds and literally felt the energy just being there again, like the sights, the sounds, the smells, like it was just such a unique experience that I'm super grateful for. And I think also like Utah's like one of the most beautiful places. So like being amongst all those beautiful mountains with such a historic event was just like I don't know if you could really match that.
Yeah, I have goosebumps just thinking about it. It's crazy. We did a match play in our backyard in 2021 at the golf course over in Pennsylvania. It was a disc golf pro tour match play, and that was a really big undertaking. But I remember Eagle was messing around, and he actually won his match already, and then he threw the final hole. And I remember him parking it, and it was like a par four or something. Like no one even came close to parking it.
That was that
Um,
700 and some foot, right?
Yeah, there's two of them. There's one where he, like, threw a crazy shot and it, like, flexed out, and there was one he threw from the top. But that's just another moment that sticks out to me where, like, my jaw dropped, and I was like, "Whoa, I can't believe he just did that." Um, and then, obviously, putting that online, getting millions and millions of views, like, lets us know why it was such a crazy moment.
Yeah.
We didn't
So
actually film James's ace in at Worlds that year, funny enough. Like, me and Derek
no,
were not.
Gatekeeper did, but we
Yeah.
were not on camera. That was Isaac and Lonnie.
Yeah. So we walked up as that hit. We're
Or
like, "That's our card."
yeah, it might have been Mike actually. I
Yeah.
don't remember.
Yeah, crazy time. All right, so this is my last question that I have here. So we're coming to the end. Who's winning in a match play between Derek and Chris? Well, we've only done one or two match plays, and I think Derek has won them. So I'd say Derek. Uh,
You
but
beat me in you've beat me in like the Trash Panda disc video and
mm.
stuff like
Like,
that. So
when
I'd
it's
say,
stroke play, it's a little closer, I guess, but I would say our skills are very similar, like, I'm a lefty, he's a righty, we play completely different rounds, and then it's like, "Yo, what are you at?" I'm like, 2 over." It's like, "Yo, I'm at 2 over." And it's like, "You're on the left side of the fairway." I was like, "I was on the right side of the fairway." So it's like,
yeah, like our
our skills
shots
are
kind of
very
go like
similar.
this. Um, yeah, I would say like on paper right now, I guess it would be me just based off of like rating. But I also played like 8 events this year, and was able to like grow my rating throughout the year. But even so, it's still pretty close between us.
Yeah, I haven't actually thrown a disc in a couple months since, Disc Golf Pro Tour Championships, actually, was the last time I threw a disc, so
Playing at Hornets Nest, we all did.
yeah, I'm trying the technique where I'm not gonna play for a little, and then hopefully I come back and I'm, like, better, you know? Sometimes that happens.
Let us know how that works out.
Alright.
And our final question. So we had 24 pretty good questions overall. I'd say some of you had some goofy ones out here, but overall we had 24 that made the cut. And what surprised you
I was gonna say
most?
before you do that last one,
Oh
let me do this
shit.
thing right here.
Yeah,
Shh,
yeah, yeah.
stop it. Stop it. No. We gotta do a giveaway, obviously. I wanna get it in before the last question. Um, old 2004 MSDGC DVD. So this was the first MSDGC, Marshall Street Disc Golf Challenge. So Maple Hill and Pyramids. We have a DVD in here, so you'd get that. Some, I don't know, is the DVD even like antiquated yet, or is it still a thing? No, I'm just
I
kidding.
I'm not
I love
sure. I mean,
DVDs. I love DVDs. And then we also have a birdie shirt here, size XL. We're going to put this out because by the time this comes out, the Birdie Open has dropped on our channel. So why not just throw a little bit of birdie merch in there, and just,
birdie merch.
yeah. All right. You may
Uh,
proceed.
all right. Drum roll. What surprised you the most that was the hardest and then the easiest? What a open-ended and vague question, folks. I don't even know how to answer that, to be honest. So what surprised me the most in terms of it being the hardest and the easiest? What surprised you most that was the
So
hardest and then the
I would
easiest?
I would say
So
something that
like
surprised I would say
I ju
something that surprised me was, uh, um, how bad the internet is across the country. Um, yeah, that is a very hard thing because we rely on internet so much, and anyone on the team can tell you I mother effed so many places and have been so pissy so many times on the road due to bad internet, and just not having reliable internet, and then having to figure it out, because the world's still moving, the coverage still needs to come out. So it's
Mhm.
like there's been so many times it's been very, very tough. So I would say that probably surprised me because I thought internet was better across the country, especially at some of these places. And you go to an Airbnb and it's like, yeah, we have great fiber, and then it's like they have like broadband or DSLR or something, like dial up or something. It's like the slowest internet we ever seen, and it's like, come on. So that has always been the biggest challenge, and always will be the biggest challenge in my eyes is internet.
Yeah, I'd say like I'm still trying to unpack exactly what they mean by this question. It's like what was the hardest then became the easiest and like what surprised you the most? Like or is it
No, I think it's just what surprised you the most, and like it was like a hard thing.
oh, a
That,
hard surprise and then an easy
yeah, and then an easy
surprise?
surprise. Yeah,
I don't know. There are no easy surprises. It doesn't work like that on the road. There's just there you don't get that easy surprise. Like that like all those chase card wins, those weren't easy surprises. Those were nerve-wracking, right? Like anything could have happened and it was at the whim of that particular player, right? So like yeah, easy in terms of it, we're not doing anything, but hard emotionally. Like
yeah,
so
it's tough.
I don't think that there's an easiest surprise. I think we're always just surprised. Um, I don't know. It feels like we've had to work for everything and scrap the whole way, right? So I don't know. I don't know how I would feel if I if something came to us easy. Like I I don't know. It would almost feel like not real.
Yeah, I would say the easiest thing is probably filming disc golf coverage or editing because we just have done it so long. I wouldn't say that's like a surprise or anything, but it's just like having the background and so much time behind it. Like going out there and filming, and I think we mentioned previously, is like I don't need to see the course anymore. I can just go to a course and film
Hmm.
it. So I would just say that has become like an autopilot, I guess. If there is a way to answer that, I would say that's probably what I have. It's just filming and editing has become very easy uh, and second nature for Derek and I. Obviously, we have a team and they do a lot more of the other work, and that's a whole different management thing. But when I'm actually boots on the ground, it's very very easy to go out there and film.
All right.
That
Well, what a
was
note
an
to
hour.
leave on. Yeah, a whole hour, 24 questions, all up at you.
Yeah,
Well, if you are still watching now, we really appreciate it. We love you guys. Thanks for all the support over the years. We want to shout out our Patreons. We want to shout out everyone who has clicked the like button, all the people who have participated in all of the daily giveaways, and all the people that are going to continue watching us over the next years as well. So, again, thanks
I
again.
just,
And any
I
last
just
words there?
realized. Yeah, I just realized I didn't prompt any questions or anything for someone to win the giveaway. I just told them what the giveaway was.
Where it's we've been having a little bit of issues keeping on top of the giveaways, but they're getting there. We're getting there. Let's see. What was your favorite Gatekeeper media moment from our start to now? You asked us what ours is, so we want to hear what yours is.
Yeah, that was good. I like it. We're gonna end right on that.
All right, folks, take care.
See you then.